to why that you have so many more people dead in your state than other people. Like,
Yeah,
and I think that also applies to Bill de Blasio as well. Like, he hasn't done a very good job of that either. In any stretch of the matter, and he also just kind of like makes jokes about the social distancing, but like a lot of the poor, especially like black and brown people, are dying in the city, and there's not really too much being done, or like a very, very slow original response that hurt a lot of people in New York.
Yeah, from the local, but federal, I would say that that the Congress people have done their best for their congressional, but that's not really their job. I mean, they get the money, but the local politicians are really supposed to be using that money in correct ways, and I'd question that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like
in correct ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of a very, very complicated, ugly system that we have. That is for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to now talk a little bit more about what's going on with coronavirus in just a bit. But before we do, here are some of the recent changes sparked by protests. Widespread protests, of course, have dropped. And in New York, we have Governor Andrew Cuomo that we talked about signing an expansive package of bills aimed at combating police misconduct. While the mayor of Boston, Martin J. Walsh, announced that the city would transfer $3 million from the police department budget to public health programs, which is, I think, a very good start. But take me a few seconds just to Google the Boston Police Department budget to kind of put that in a broader context. But that is definitely, I think, a good thing that we can like see in the right direction. It's $414 million, so $3 million, not too much in the grand scheme of things, but $3 million. It sounds good, but it really is in terms of $414 million the police department gets. It's not too much, but it is that kind of stuff is really, I think, what most people mean when they say defund the police. President Trump rejected an idea under consideration by the Pentagon to rename military bases named after Confederate generals. This came in a week where statues of historical figures, including Confederate commanders, slave traders, and Christopher Columbus, have been toppled in the U.S. and around the world. At the end of a week of high-profile executive departures, Audrey Gelman, co-founder of The Wing, an upscale women-only club and co-working space, resigned amid a furor of over-treatment of black and brown employees. And the country trio Lady Antebellum has changed their name to Lady A. They wrote a letter to fans that is saying that their eyes have been opened wide to the injustices that black people face. And of course, now there is also another woman who has been under the name Lady A, and she is a black woman, so that's kind of a mess there as well. But yeah, those are some of the changes that have been brought very recently in New York, all across the country, really. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about coronavirus. That is just in 56 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for listening to programming from the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. It really means a lot. So if you like what you're hearing, please consider supporting us by checking out our merch store available on Spreaker.com/TSWS. The link for it is there. Also, if you like what you're hearing, feel free to leave us a review on wherever or however you listen. You can do it on Spreaker by leaving a positive comment, and of course on iTunes by rating and reviewing us 5 stars, and on whatever possible program or site that you listen to SWRN on, leave a nice review, leave a good comment, let us know your feedback, and also if it's negative too, I always welcome constructive feedback. Thank you so much for listening, and now let's get back to your show. Just keep listening. It's the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, welcome right back to Newsflash. Do want to let you know what we have coming up on a new episode of That's Interesting this week. Zach Lipschultz will be joining us to talk about the album Igor by Tyler, the Creator. It was great to talk about Flower Boy this past week. Probably one of my favorite episodes that I've ever done. Kind of listening to that album, dissecting it song by song, and really breaking it down. It was a lot of fun, and we hope to see you this Friday. It'll come out at midnight. A dissection and debate and discussion over Tyler, the Creator, music, Igor, Flower Boy, all that great stuff. So join us this Friday for that. We're now talking about the coronavirus. We have James Stanley back with us today. And James, officials in New York and Houston right now are considering another lockdown with warm and sunny weather in New York City and its suburbs. Social media feeds were filled with videos and reports of residents violating social distancing rules, including a Friday night at Manhattan's East Village, a bar and restaurant-friendly neighborhood. Outdoor drinkers, many without masks, also congregated in street corners in Hell's Kitchen on Saturday, where gay pride celebrations are underway. On Sunday, Governor Andrew Cuomo said the state had been deluged with 25,000 complaints about businesses that are in violation of the reopening plan, a number that he said alarmed and upset him. So how do you think this reopening plan is being handled by governors and the federal government at large? And do you think we are in legitimate trouble? Mm-hmm.
Especially down south, the federal government has absolutely no response whatsoever. I mean, I'll give Dr. Fauci credit because Dr. Fauci has done a very good job. Look, he's doing his best. His arms are tied behind his back. I can't say anything bad about the guy because, I mean, look, he is literally working for the man who said it's another hoax.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit hard for him in the first place, and he's trying to do his best. I respect him. Also, by the way, he's a pretty good guy. He's very smart. But the federal government overall has had absolutely disastrously horrible response in regards to reopening, in regards to getting money to states, helping for unemployment benefits and things like that. They've done pretty good. I wouldn't say it's excellent. There's nothing in the government that were excellent, as we know, sadly. But the federal government has been absent. It's almost like everyone's on vacation. And in the Caribbean, for some reason, and we look at the states, same thing. Certain states we see with Texas, we see with Georgia, we see with a lot of these states opening up immediately without phases. And, the problem I have with the phases as well, though, which I'll get back to once I finish this, reopening too quickly is very dangerous. And the reason why is because we saw in Missouri as well with what happened at that party that was on video at some like Lake Town. 100 of those people had tested positive for coronavirus within the following week of that party that was on video.
Lake of the Ozarks party there from Memorial Day.
But yeah, a lot of them tested
wow.
positive after that.
So I guess that's the price you pay.
Oh yeah, and then we see with Georgia that opened up like swiftly. Same with Texas that opened up quickly. Cases are going up. Florida cases are going up pretty much. A lot of those states that opened up pretty quickly, cases are going up. And interestingly enough, California, which opened up very slowly, most of the states in only phase one as of right now, their cases are going up right now. And Governor Newsom had said the other day that he may have to retract on his phases and go back to phase 0, which is lockdown, if the cases are continuing to rise in urban areas like Los Angeles and San Francisco. And the problem I have with phases when you go towards the Northeast, because, for example, for the viewers who don't know, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, and New Hampshire and Vermont, and I think Maine. I don't know if Maine is following, but there's a partnership between those states to follow the same phases and the same timelines, similar timelines of when they'll reopen, so that no one goes across borders to cheat the system. So if Connecticut has bars open, no one from New York or Massachusetts drives over to Connecticut just to have a beer at a bar, which is really kind of a smart idea to do it all together, so we don't have things like that occur.
But we're also kind of tied in by the same rope, though. If one person screws it up, everyone kind of has to go back to stage 0.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was going to go to now, because as we see now with northern parts of New York, we just got into phase 2, I believe. We might be in phase 3. I have to look at the phases. I think we're just in phase 2, and cases aren't going up. But the problem with phase 2 is that allows for outdoor seating at restaurants, and I'd argue that when you said that the governor received, you said 24,000, if I'm correct, or was it 2,400? Just so I don't say the incorrect
It was
number.
actually 25,000. So.
Oh, 25,000. Geez,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if a good amount, not necessarily the majority, maybe the majority though, of them were restaurants. I know you mentioned businesses, so I'm saying I wouldn't be shocked if the majority of them were restaurants that were taking advantage of that quote unquote outdoor seating and maybe having some indoor seating on top of that. And the problem that I have is people want to open up really quickly. And I understand, I'm all for everyone going back to work, making money for their house because, I mean, who isn't? I mean, I think that everyone in their right mind would want everyone who works at a restaurant, typically people who aren't making a lot of money in the first place, to go back to work and make some money. I kind of feel bad for them in the first place. I think everyone does. But at the same time, I don't want to open back up so people make money to then get sick and die because that goes counterproductive. I mean, yeah, you're making money, but the fact of the matter is I'd rather someone not make money, stay safe at home, get government support, than go to work and possibly have any sort of contamination. Now, in areas that are pretty much, the government has deemed safe, then I'm perfectly fine with it. But in states like Georgia and Texas that are opening up swiftly, I question their health department regulations and also checkup that they had done on these restaurants that were able to reopen for this outdoor seating, because I think that they rushed it just to get a business open and get their economy moving so that the overall U.S. economy looks strong, so that Trump can, quote unquote, get sailed to a 2020 election, which I doubt will ever happen, especially after this. But looking at this, I think that really people are just rushing too much. And I think that what we need to really do, I think what the states really need to do, since the federal government is not here and will never be here for now, the states really need to recognize that they need to work together because the federal government is not present nor will be in this situation. And I think that what they need to do is make more partnerships with states that have similar amounts of new tests or people in the sense of test overall, which is what the Northeast region did. And I think we need to be smart with our decisions when we reopen. Don't just reopen because you want to get the economy moving again and get people back to work, which is great. But don't open the economy to do that when you may risk 10 people die. I mean, look, 10 people may not be a lot, but one person is too much in this situation because the coronavirus is preventable if you stay home and take proper steps like social distancing, wearing a mask, which all of us freaking hate. But if everyone wore a mask, it doesn't protect us, but it protects us. It protects others from us, which will greatly actually help in the decrease of cases. And I think that's something that really needs to be looked at across the board for all the states, because opening up too quickly is not the answer to the situation. When it is, it's a detriment to the situation. It will just throw the fire on an already rather large blaze, which is right now the coronavirus.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So, like, just to talk to people kind of on a more, like, personal basis, like, if you're going out, like, how should you conduct yourself? Like, what should you do? What is so important? Like, what areas can you worry about a little bit more, and maybe what areas can you worry about a little bit less when you're going out?
I'd worry most if you're going to be in a building whatsoever, like a supermarket, any of these type of places that are open, that is probably the place. I wouldn't say to go out there and be like, oh, I'm going to get it. No, don't be like that. Like, be smart. Okay, if they ask to wear a mask, don't fight it. I mean, look, I don't like to wear a mask. I don't think anyone does. I don't think anyone wakes up every morning and says, gee, I'm really looking forward to wear a mask that makes me practically choke while I breathe. No, I don't think anyone wakes up and says that. But the fact of the matter is, if they're asking you to wear a mask. I mean, look, if other people are doing it, do it. The second thing is, if you go into any sort of, if you're a cleaning crew or any sort of people who, are necessary services that go into other people's homes and clean for them. While yes, you're making the situation better, by cleaning the house, you're walking into a possibly contaminated or dirty house. And, not everyone who is healthy will have the virus, but there are some people who are perfectly healthy and don't realize that they actually are carrying the virus because it may be a dormant or just a dead virus at the time. And in that circumstance, I definitely pray for them to definitely take all precautions that is possible. Now, where I'd be least worried is if when you're outside and just walking, definitely just do social distancing. You don't need to really wear a mask if you're walking, because unless you're in a crowd, then yes, wear a mask. But if you're just walking down the sidewalk and it's not a busy sidewalk and there's really not that many people, just continue on. And if you see someone walking the other way, like running towards you or walking towards you, just do social distancing, walk away from them. Just, dissipate and move